lost to ignorance and confusion, 3 men arose from humble beginnings with a message of wisdom and hope for their troubled times. 3 men who would eventually change the very face of humanity. But they got distracted by that cat video on YouTube. You know, the one with the thing.
So here's some other guys. It's Song Talk Radio.
Yay, do-do-do-do-do.
With all of us here. I take it we're picking up the slack.
I think we are.
So it turns out you don't buy intros on the installment plan.
That's true.
Did
you get that on Fiverr?
Get it all. Well, welcome back to Song Talk Radio. This is episode 273 for those of you keeping count. This is the show with songwriters talking to other songwriters about baking. No, just kidding, about the craft of songwriting. We share tips, tools, and techniques, and together we all hopefully become better at writing songs. I'm your host, Michael Proudfoot, and joining me are the crime-fighting members of the Song Talk Radio Action Team. We have Forensic Phil.
Hey there, how are you doing? I'm very excited to be here.
It's great to have you. Night Shift
much.
Neil.
Don't give away my secrets, man.
All right. Don't worry. And on social media tonight, we have Magnetic Micah.
Hey. And Nito.
And on the tech board, it's also Neil.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
This is my night shift.
Yeah. We're running a bit of a...
So during
crew.
our show, please send your comments and questions to @SongTalkRadio on Twitter or Facebook, or feedback @songtalk.ca, and we will share them with the audience in real time. We won't do that if you're listening to us on podcast. No. And please stop by our website at songtalk.ca to find out how you can be a guest on our show, which would be a lot of fun. Our guest this week has come to us from across the pond at great expense just to see us. Pena is a singer-songwriter from the UK. She is primarily a solo artist who regularly performs at the open mic circuit in both London and, when she's over here, in downtown Toronto. And further afield, too. Mississauga, perhaps. Perhaps Scarborough, perhaps Brampton. You never know.
Not Brampton.
Hey, possibly. As well as open mics, she also embraces her inner steampunk and regularly plays at steampunk events back in the UK, as well as performing solo. Pena also works on other projects, including the United Collaboration Project and the Heartfelt Dreamland Project, which is a mixture of different genres of music, heavily influenced by Phil Spector, as well as other eclectic music styles. She is presently working on 2 albums and a second EP. Whew, that's a lot going on. From London, England, please welcome Pena Hughes-John.
Yay. Welcome, Pena.
Thank you.
Can you define what steampunk means to you?
Right, it's a good thing you asked me that, because it's saying me, because I know you've only got an hour's show, right? And I didn't want to actually go for my whole long, convoluted. So I bought like a little bit of paper which actually explains what steampunk actually is.
Ooh.
Sort of in about 3 paragraphs. So, steampunk is a subculture that draws its inspiration from the works of Victorian science fiction writers like Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, by attempting to recreate the future as the Victorians may have imagined it to be. So as a culture, steampunks are very sociable, staging and attending events all around the country, i.e. the UK. Steampunks aspire to the maxim, be splendid, by adopting the neo-Victorian clothing, like my corset that I'm wearing here, but obviously people will not be able to see it because they're listening on the podcast, by creating splendid artefacts of wood and brass, steam and clockwork, and by their attitude to others. Also, I need to add, we all love a nice cup of English tea.
And Zeppelins.
Yes,
Zeppelins.
and
Zeppelins are a big thing.
And tea dueling and teapot racing, and that's all steampunk.
Is it also a genre of music or a type of music?
Well, steampunk, it sort of involves all different genres. There isn't a particular genre of music that would say, yes, that is steampunk. It does embrace a lot of quirkiness. So, you might have someone sort of playing a teapot mixed in with a banjo. You might have, it's just really different genres. There's no particular say, right, this is genre, this is steampunk music. But having said that, you do have a lot of people that play a lot of banjo type music, like the really old dance hall, My Old Man Said Follow the Van, and those sort of songs. So that is on the real extreme.
And stuff like that, yeah. Well, it's actually interesting because so many cultural movements like punk or ska or something, or the mods, they started off with music as the main driver. And steampunk is actually one of the ones that wasn't based in music.
That's right.
And it's interesting. It's not like music, any kind of form of music has kind of taken over steampunk. It's not been that associated. I always thought maybe some kind of funky electronica stuff might be associated with it, that kind of retro futuristic stuff.
It'd have to be perhaps steam-powered, like steam organs and the like.
Yes, that as well.
But steampunk kind of harkens back, but also looks to the future. It's kind of combining the two in
it's kind of Victorian
ways.
futurist, as it were.
Exactly. So you've got a mixture of, if you've seen Wild Wild West, mixed in with Mad Max. And there's obviously a lot of the science fiction comics, that's all steampunk, as well as you've got the usual goggles, which I've got here, which is steampunk, and the corsets for the ladies, Victorian skirts. It's a whole mixture. Some people sort of mix the Victorian with the modern age. So there's no hard and fast rules as to you've got to look this way for steampunk. So.
Well, it's so interesting because I grew up in the punk area. I mean, it was a little bit before my a little bit before my time. Just I was a little bit too young when it first hit, but I certainly remember in '76, reading all about the punks and stuff like that. But how people who dress like punks, they're kind of they almost have like this uniform. Which they look like, and they look like more punks than the actual punks did, and it's just because punk was so you could do anything because it was just all these art
it was
kids
that
making stuff up.
DIY aesthetic where you just make your own music, make your own fashion, and it's funny how it became a very codified visual look.
Yeah, it's like you have to have spiky hair and you have to have
safety
dog
pins.
ball.
You gotta have safety pins.
But that's not everyone did that at the time. It was
Kind of like flannel for the grunge era.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's true. So, what's the songwriting scene in? Now you grew up in London, but you live in
Bedfordshire.
What's the scene like there for songwriting?
There is there is a bit of a songwriting around there, but a lot of people, they do cover versions, even in the open mics. You go, and the amount of times you've heard Oasis and you've heard, it's like, here we go.
Anyway, here's Wonderwall, yeah.
Yes, exactly. So it's always that one. But I find more in the Surrey region, because I sort of belong to the steampunk in Surrey. They sort of, a lot of them are songwriters that do their own material. And that's what I find more enjoyable. And I think a lot of the open mics in London, they tend to more have people doing their own songs. And when you move out of London, it's more cover versions, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I know there is a certain logic that a lot of people will do cover versions on YouTube, because people will actually go through YouTube looking for cover versions of their favorite songs. We had a Jules, who's been on our show a bunch of times. She's an amazing songwriter and an amazing vocalist, and she was only doing covers on YouTube. I'm saying, well, why aren't you doing any of your original stuff? Your original stuff is great. It's because the original stuff doesn't actually get viewed by people.
It
That's
doesn't
right.
draw the same.
Yeah, but
That's
then
right.
as a fan, you get drawn to it. Because I remember when we had Jacob Moon on the show a while back, and he was talking about how he started off doing covers of songs he likes, and that's how I found him on YouTube. And then I started digging his original stuff as well.
Right.
I became a fan of him as an artist in
It's
general.
probably
So it
good
was-
to have both up. You
Well,
have
yeah, it was-
covers
it
up
was-
there to bring people in and have a few of your own once people kind of dig your sound.
It's the gateway song.
Yeah.
Exactly. The way
So what is your songwriting process like these days?
I mean, what do you mean with regards
Like,
to...
are you-
wait, can I ask a question first?
Yeah,
So
sure.
you play open mics. What instrument do you play at open mics?
I play ukulele, but having said that...
But
if
you
I-
don't write on a ukulele, do you?
I do.
You do?
I do.
So that's your primary instrument?
That's my primary instrument. I do have a keyboard at home, but I'm pretty terrible at playing keyboards. But if I got paid £1 or $1 each time someone said, could you play a little bit of George Formby? Which is a very, very famous ukulele banjo player back in the dance hall days. I'd be very, very rich by now.
Have you
I'll
thought
probably
about
have
playing any George Formby?
He's the one who does cleaning windows, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
When I'm
Yes.
cleaning windows.
When I'm clean,
Infamous
yes,
for one
exactly.
of the songs banned by the BBC.
Was it?
Was it
Yeah.
really?
Yeah.
I think it's a double entendres in there, wasn't
Yes.
it?
Yeah,
It was
there's a
bit-
lot of, yeah, exactly. It was very
bit
naughty.
risky, very risky. Or when you go to these ukulele groups, one song that really used to drive me nuts, they'd play The Urban Spaceman. I'm the Urban Spaceman. It's like, that always has to be on the ukulele list, and it has to have a kazoo with it. And I cannot
Well, just in case.
stand the sound of the kazoo. Well, I joined a ukulele group a few months back, and they said, to welcome you, here's your own kazoo. I was like, oh.
No kazoo for me.
There's a guy in town. Yeah, I don't know if you've run into him at open mics. He plays guitar and he electrifies the kazoo, so it has
boy.
sustain. It's pretty great, actually.
Ooh,
Well, it's like any tool, depending on how you use it, right?
Yeah.
So are you writing songs on ukulele, or?
Yes, I'm writing songs in ukulele. Sometimes when I'm out, it's frustrating when you've got a song in your head or you've got a tune in your head. Like if you're queuing up something, oh no. You're sort of like frantically sort of trying to look for the phone just to record it. And then when I get home thinking, okay, what chord was that again? I was like humming whilst in the lift, but I couldn't quite get the chord. But yes, when I'm actually with the ukulele, I'm just messing around. There's some nice chords there. And I tend to, since I've actually started doing the ukulele, I tend to write the music first.
Right.
And then add the lyrics afterwards, or try and fit the lyrics around the
Your melody,
chords
right.
that I'm playing. Yeah.
So when you're playing ukulele, now I'm not a ukulele player, I don't even play guitar very well,
Yeah.
but okay, let me put it this way. Everyone I've ever seen playing a ukulele, they tend to stick to open chords, the 1-4-5s kind of thing. So do you afford yourself a wide selection of chords when you're playing the ukulele?
I play by ear. So I'll be playing away for, that's an interesting little chord there.
Okay.
And I try to make the songs more interesting, because I know what you mean about playing the open chord. It might sound a bit boring after a while if I sort of wrote one song after the other, open chord. So I do try and mix my chords up a bit to make it sound a bit more interesting to the listener.
Can you do bar chords on ukulele?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I do a lot of bar. I think I'm the bar chord lady. I'm
Okay.
do a lot of
There's
bar
some
chords.
amazing ukulele players out there on YouTube. The guys who play like, Jimi Hendrix and like some
Really?
amazing
Wow,
players.
okay.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything. It's like, if you
Yeah.
spend enough time on any instrument,
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
you can master it,
And you can adapt it to different songs.
It's a
drop
definitely.
tunings and all the rest of it.
I've written a couple of songs on ukulele. It's a lot of fun, actually. It's a nice, because I'm majorly a guitar player, but I also write on piano. But the ukulele is kind of a different,
Yeah.
because it only has the 4 strings.
Does
and
it
it's-
push you into an area where you write a certain type of song? Are there ukulele songs that come out when you write? That are
Kind of, yeah. I
different?
think each instrument has its own kind of thing that it wants to do. I think, and
It really depends, really. I mean, there's a duo called Victor and the Bully, and they're very big on the steampunk circuit. And a lot of their songs are very dark, because many people associate the ukulele as a nice, cheerful instrument.
It's very
cheerful
happy.
Yeah.
chords.
It's like you can't write a sad song on ukulele, so to speak, right?
But I
Yeah,
beg
you
to
can.
defer,
right.
because I've written some really sad songs on there. Victor and the Bully, again, I'm sort of giving them a name check, I shouldn't really, but their songs have very dark chords on there.
Yeah.
And it's a guy who plays a guitar and another guy that's playing the uke, and he's like really going for it with the ukulele, really heavy strumming. So
I
it
was,
kind of
I was
breaks
talking
that
to
rule.
a friend of mine who plays the ukulele a while back, and she said she took like the top string of the ukulele, put a thicker gauge string on it, and tuned it down by an octave. Basically, right, and that gave it a
Ooh.
bit of a darker tone than, so it doesn't sound like a happy ukulele. It sounds like
Right.
a little bit
Oh, I
a
like
darker
Because
ukulele.
ukulele is actually strung really interestingly, because it's 1, 3, 5, and then 7, but the 7 is actually the first. Is the first string.
Right.
So, which gives it that weird, gives it a different sound, because the root of the chord isn't being hit first usually.
Oh, okay.
So it's like the 7th. So it's a
I
flat
knew none
seventh.
of this. This is great. I did not expect to be
fascinating.
learning so much about ukuleles tonight.
Well, you never know what's going to happen.
So,
maybe.
but the
is
songs
quite
you sent
exciting.
us, the recordings you sent
They're
us, are
not
very
the
they're very
ukulele.
piano driven.
They're very piano driven, yes, definitely.
So-
I could have sent the ukulele ones over, shouldn't I? But
Were those songs written on piano?
the one of them was written on piano. The other one, I was in collaboration with 2 other guys called
Right.
Simon and Adrian, and that song sort of came about over a meetup group actually, and we were given a brief which had to have metaphors in the song. And we obviously we're going to be playing that song a bit later, but that was prior to me learning the ukulele. But
okay.
Yes, I should have sent a ukulele song in, shouldn't I?
No, it's okay.
Since we're talking about ukuleles
So
tonight.
these songs were written on keyboard, or they were written on ukulele?
Was one of them was actually guitar, which was the one with the I think it depends which one you're going to be playing first.
Well, I was thinking we can play, as long as you're talking about this collaboration, when we play Somewhere in the Mist.
That's the collaboration one. That was the one with the guitar.
Can you talk a little bit about what this brief was and what the collaboration
Yes, we had to, basically the brief was we had to write a metaphor, a song in a metaphor form. And we kind of got together and think, okay, we're going to write a song about friendship. So probably when you were young, you were friends with somebody, and then life gets in the way, and then for some reason you've been meaning to get in contact with them, and then you're being distracted or you're too busy. You think, yeah, I'm going to call them, and then by the time you remember, it's too late. And the basis behind that song, that somewhere in the mist, I was too busy, I actually came up with the chorus because it sort of came about when there was a guy that I used to know, a musician, and I didn't know at the time he was suffering from depression.
Oh dear.
And and occasionally we meet up, and I just sort of try and take him out to cheer him up, and then eventually life got in the way. I was busy doing, I had life, I had work. I made it so I thought, I've got to phone him. I'm like, yeah, I'll phone him next week, I'll phone him tomorrow. And it never did until one day I went onto Facebook and it said, in the memory of da-da-da-da, and I thought, and it was too late. And that's what sprung to mind with the song. And we kind of mixed it with the different seasons of the year. So we start off with spring, then it goes into summer, then autumn and winter as the verses of the song come about. And it's just really basically a plea to many people. Like, I think all of us, we actually fall under that really bad habit. We have a friend that we've lost contact with. Yeah,
it's true.
I've got to get in contact with them.
Yeah.
And it's just really listening to that song, thinking, you know what, they might not be around tomorrow.
Right.
So it's really important to keep in touch, keep in contact.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Okay, shall we take a listen to Somewhere? And of course, for our listeners, this is on the lyric sheet is on the website.
It is, sir.
So you can download and follow along.
We met on a carpet of yellow. Hope was on the breeze. We promised under the oak tree. Me for you and you for me.
came the colder nights. A distance crept between us. Complacency was setting, as though I didn't care. Somewhere in the mist, I was too busy. Somewhere in the mist, I was unaware. Somewhere in the mist, I did not have time. Somewhere in the mist, you're no longer there. Now the trees are naked. The frost is in the air. The icy moon, they told me that you're no longer there. Somewhere in the mist, I was too busy. Somewhere in the mist, I was unaware. Somewhere in the mist, I did not have time. Somewhere in the mist, you're no longer there. Now you're no longer.
Ooh.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Yay.
I'm going to mention one thing though, before I get into a lot of trouble when I get back to the UK. The title "Somewhere in the Mist" was penned by Adrian Ward, who actually plays the accordion on the track. You can actually hear the accordion going. And the actual purpose of that title, he lives in Leeds in the UK, and there's a place near him called the Chevin. And it's mostly like the hills, and normally sometimes on some days you get this mist. So that's where he got the "Somewhere in the Mist."
Oh, cool.
So we kind of incorporated that in the song. So
Right.
Janine, that she plays the strings and the piano, and there's a guy called Simon Atherton who plays the guitar in the track.
Wow.
So I'm doing name calling, otherwise I know.
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
get
yeah.
back to
How
gotta
did
drop
the
it.
collaboration work? Did someone bring in a framework or a melody, and others contributed, or how did it come together?
It started off where the three of us, me, Simon and Adrian, we actually came up with the lyrics. As I said, it was my idea to do it as the seasons of the year. And Simon was just literally sort of just doing some chords on the guitar. I thought, oh, that's nice. And Adrian sort of added his accordion parts in there. And it was a bit strange because I was up there, because we actually had the we kind of met up there because we actually did the meet-up, and we thought, oh, we've got to finish this song. So I went all the way to Leeds, and Simon and I'm knocking the microphone. Simon and Adrian, they lived pretty near to each other. So what actually happened, we met up at Simon's place, recorded his guitar, and then with Adrian we had him coming down. I'm knocking the microphone all over the place. We actually we had Simon's guitar to work on, and there was my guide vocals recorded in the washroom. So you had all the
acoustics
echoes
in a
and the
washroom.
reverb.
Yeah.
And then what actually happened, I took it down to the recording studio, which was local to me in Northampton. It was like different places as we recorded. And there's the engineer who sort of had the patches of Simon's guitar parts. He said, oh, because Simon doesn't play to a click track, so that was a bit of annoying. It was trying to get it in sync in time. Then Adrian came all the way down from Leeds and recorded his accordion part at the studio. Then I had Janine coming over to the studio and did her strings and the violin at the recording studio as well.
Right.
And my vocals were partly recorded at my house, so it was a bit of a
Oh, wow.
mishmash, and we
Mishmash,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah.
had everything brought into the studio. So
It worked well, you know. Actually, it sounds good. So on the lyric sheet, it has version 5.
yes, there was. You can imagine.
So
the
let's
other
talk about the
4.
different versions. How
Yes.
did it get to this point?
Well, we actually had the lyrics done, and it was like Simon was like saying, "I'm not happy about the 3rd verse. Can we change it?" And the flawless like a diamond. We were umming and ahhing, you know, should it be something else? So yes, it was like all these different changes, mostly the lyrics.
Mostly lyrics.
It was the lyric side of things. Why it was saying version 5.
So what constitutes a different version then?
It was
Like
them. It was them. I mean, normally I would
Like
just
if you change
do
one
the
line,
edit.
is that, if you change one line,
Change
is that,
one line.
is that a
Yeah, it was
different
them. Normally, I wouldn't call it versions, but I was like, well, we're going to version 5 now. Forget about version 4. Version 5 is the latest one. So yes,
yeah, it's not a substantive
everyone's
change.
singing from the same hymn sheet. Excuse the pun.
Well, what'd you think, Neil?
Yeah, I mean, I really love the use of the metaphor, the mist, and the chorus is much more sort of stable than the verse. Like the
Yeah.
verse has got a lot of mystery to it.
Yeah.
And when I finally got to the very last verse, I started counting out the beats, and in the verse you're actually going 4-4-2-4, 4-4-2-4, 4-4-2-4, and then
Yeah.
in the chorus you bring it back down to a straight 4-4 time. So
so that there's like the time signature changes.
the time signature change. Essentially, it's like 6/4 in the verse.
Oh, yeah?
Like it's a 4 beats followed by 2 beats of space, and then it comes back. And so it's a little bit unnerving in the verse because you don't know when
Yes.
that next line of lyric is
Well,
really
no,
going to fall.
that's just 4/4, but there's just 2 beats of rest.
Yeah, which makes
Right.
it a 2/4 bar. It's 1 2 3 4 1 2 1 2 3 4.
It's the
1,
extra 2 bars in there. Is
Okay.
that
The extra 2
what
beats.
sort of threw you out
Yeah.
with the
Okay.
verses?
So it's kind of interesting that way. There's a lot more tension in the verse, and again that's one way to do it, right? Is
Yeah.
to have your line of lyric and then have a little bit of extra space before you bring back your next line, and then sort of round it off in the chorus so that it's a little more consonant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you use the word complacency, which is a hard word to work into a song.
Yes.
Where's complacency?
Complacency
the,
was setting.
What
Third
version
complacency was
did
setting.
complacency enter into it?
It was in throughout. It was in throughout basically because it's true we do become complacent.
Yeah.
We automatically assume that person's always there.
It's a hard song. It's a hard word to sing, though.
Why is
Yeah.
that?
It's an odd, complacency. It's just got a weird, it's got a weird feel to it, you know. But
Speaking
talking
of
about weird
feels-
things, we have some not so weird things coming up right now. Hey there, if you are just joining us, you are listening to Song Talk Radio, streamed live on songtalk.ca, and tonight we are talking to Pena Hughes-John. All the way from,
John.
John, John, all the way from the UK, and we don't forget we love to hear from you. So why don't you tweet in your thoughts to us at Song Talk Radio, or send us an email at feedback@songtalk.ca, and we'll share those thoughts on the real time. And you can find all the links in the products and books and web services we mentioned on the show on our resources page on the site. And coming up on the show next week will be Kelsey Vaz, which is kind of a hip hop.
Hip-hop R&B thing.
Hip-hop R&B thing. It's going to be a great show. Cool. And then on the 28th, we have Matthew Reed, a classically trained composer who works in many genres, and who, for a long time, was the music director for Second City here in Toronto.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and if you happen to be in the Toronto area, why don't you meet for the Songwriters Meetup on Sunday, May 26th from 1 to 4 p.m. at the Transat Club. Free to join and free to attend. Stop by songtalk.ca for a link for all that good stuff. Back to you, Mikey.
Well, thank you.
But I want to get back to the song for a bit, just if we can. Because there's not a lot of strong rhymes in the song, which is sort of interesting.
Gets stronger in the chorus.
Yeah.
The chorus, is really, it swells nicely. It's quite strong and solid, so it lets you wander a bit afield.
There's no real rhymes in the
lyrically
chorus.
and
Though,
kind of
No, we were
melodically.
Yeah, unaware in there. It's kind of, they're far away, but you feel it at the end of the chorus.
We were trying to get away
that's true.
from the usual. The song has got a rhyme every single line. Oh my
Right.
goodness, I rhymed
Every single time.
Every single time. Yes, because I think that's the main thing when songwriters think, oh, I'm writing this song. Every single line has got to rhyme with the previous one.
Right.
And I think even I've fallen down that trap many times.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes it's a bit refreshing, sort of doing the song where it doesn't rhyme, but in the chorus.
Yeah.
And for a song like
Oh, yeah.
this, like it's kind of reflective and softer than like a pop song or whatever, then yeah, the lack of rhymes actually serves it well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different approach. I mean, I think it's, we've talked about this, about, putting rhymes in songs and where you put them, and it does affect the feel of the song, depending on how you want to feel. I mean, like Sting has the same rhyme scheme in basically every song I've ever heard him do.
Really?
Every step
Yeah.
you take, every leaf you rake, every cake you bake, it's all these kind of very strong, heavy rhymes. And that works, that's part of his style. But as far as, I haven't heard everything he's done. I've heard a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And he seems to have the same rhyme schemes. And it's a good thing for a songwriter to branch out.
We will refer our listeners to our show All About Rhymes with Blair Packham.
That's right.
Yeah, we did a whole hour
Whole
just
thing
talking
about
about
that.
rhymes.
A couple of lines I really liked is, the icy moon then told me that you're no longer there.
Yep.
I love that, the icy moon then told me. I thought that was great. And the middle eight was really nice too, because it was kind of different chords too. It wasn't just like repeating the verse or repeating the chorus. It was actually a separate thing, and the accordion was much heavier there, but
Yes.
Kind of
was
an
accordion
accordion
solo.
solo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. It was his solo, because I kind of felt that Adrian was a bit left out. He sort of just comes in and goes out. It was mostly guitar driven.
But it's
so-
a really noticeable sound, and it really adds a mood. Like the first time it comes in, it kind of really helps create a mood in there. So he wasn't,
Yeah, and
he
it's-
wasn't being short-served.
no. It's interesting. It's a 4-verse song, and so many people. It's 4 verse with a middle 8, and so many people will do 3 verses with the middle 8. And I was listening to some older stuff, from the 70s, and a lot of that stuff actually had like sometimes 4 or 5 verses. We don't realize that stuff now. For some reason, stuff is so short.
Yeah.
Unless
Yeah.
it's a dance track.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 70s had a lot of kind of album tracks as well.
Yeah.
But are you talking about even singles had four verses?
Yeah. Yeah. If you listen to it, it's pretty cool.
They didn't have streaming services back then,
That's true.
where it's 30 seconds or you don't get paid.
Oh, yes.
So do you do a lot of collaborations?
You know what? I'm sort of trying to get collaborations together, but the thing is, everybody's so busy.
Right.
It's like I've had people say, "Yeah, we need to work together," but I'm doing a few gigs in the next few months, and then they'll come back to me and say, "Oh, I'm actually in the recording studio that time." So
Yeah.
it's just trying to find
It is hard, yeah.
the right time to actually say, "Yeah, let's get together, let's collaborate, let's do this."
Yeah.
It's just synchronizing diaries, which is a bit of a
Have you ever ended up just hanging out and you just end up collaborating like spontaneously, or is it always a planned out thing?
A lot of it's sort of planned out, but I really do, because sometimes it's nice to actually do like a jam and think, oh, something's coming together. I really need to actually get more involved in
Yeah.
that, to be honest, because you get more interesting. Well, not say more interesting, but sometimes you get some interesting.
You write. So you write most of your songs by yourself?
Yes.
Or, yeah. Okay.
Yes, I write them all on my own.
Jamming with people is fun. I mean, it's just stuff comes out that you never would have thought of.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's an interesting chord.
Yeah, and it's just fun, you know.
riff.
It's a different process. You get a different kind of rush. I mean, working on your own is great, but having someone could take your idea and run with it is just such a great feeling, you know.
Exactly.
Always having a different set of ears, looking at it from a different angle. They may have a take on it that you had not even thought of.
That's very true. Very
So
true.
now you've said you've come over to Canada a few times now,
Yep.
and you make a point of playing open mics every time you're here. Pretty well.
I try to. Or, yeah. But especially like if you get a lot of them are monthly ones as well. I've come across the monthly ones. But just synchronising my travel for when they are on. I was just
Right.
saying to Neil at the beginning, it's like, oh, I came down at the wrong time. I've missed your, songwriting workshop. I've
Yeah.
missed somebody else's open
You're gonna miss the
mic.
meetup in 2 weeks.
I've missed the meetup.
Yeah.
This is bad
Oh, no.
time. I've got to next time and look at, because I think you sort of do it a year in advance, don't you? Have all your
Oh yeah, we
dates
set
a year
them
in
out. We
advance.
set them up a year in advance.
Yeah.
I've got to sort of.
So check in January for the 2020 dates.
Yeah.
We should be up
Oh
there.
right, so it's no good sort of looking now. So I'll have to.
No, not
wait.
now. No. But that being said, no matter what time you come to Toronto, like there's an open mic. There's a number of open mics to choose on any given night,
Yeah, there's a lot.
guaranteed.
But
right?
some are better for songwriters, and some are, as you
True.
were saying earlier, people just playing cover songs.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
sometimes it's entertaining, but as a songwriter, if you want to go and sort of get feedback and hear what other people are working on,
Yeah.
that's not always as easy to find.
Yeah,
I
perhaps.
mean, the only event that I found that we do actually get feedback is our meetup.
Yeah, the
I've
Song
never come
Talk
across
meetup, but-
anything else.
Yeah, those are usually meetup. Well, mics don't usually give you feedback, but you can at least network with other songwriters, which,
Yeah, that's
which is
true.
the biggest
Yeah.
advantage
Yeah.
to going to an open mic.
That's a good thing.
Well, I'm always interesting because we grew up in the heyday of like everything cool was from Britain. Like all our
anymore.
music was. Well, it was the Pistols, it was the Jam, it was the Clash, Echo and the Bunnymen. Basically, anything that was cool was British. In fact, a lot of people used to sing with a fake British accent in Canadian bands because it was
Oh, yeah.
really cool.
Green Day?
Yeah.
You said
Green Day, maybe?
Yeah, really.
Oh,
Well, because
my
of course that's the music you love, so you try to imitate the music that you love. So I was surprised actually that how active Toronto's music scene is compared to a lot of other places.
It is.
Like I was talking to someone from Ireland the other day, and he was saying, yeah, there's like a band like once a month at a pub, and that's it.
Really?
In Toronto, you can see like a different. You can see
You can go
like
to 3, 4,
3
5
places
shows
every day,
night if you want
every
to.
night of the week.
Yeah, and Toronto has a really good scene for live music venues.
Yeah, exactly.
Vancouver
It is.
used to be a really great live music scene too, and they've lost tons of great venues. Even the Railway Club is.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so there may be as many good bands as there ever were, but there's not as many places to see them. Whereas Toronto has managed to hold on to a lot of good venues.
True
Is that
that.
because of the real estate?
I would imagine so, but I don't
Right.
really know.
Do you is there a lot of places to play sort of around where you're living, or
The problem is, I think many different cities, you have many venues that are closing down. You have you have the open mics, but even with some venues now, you just think, you know what, just get rid of that. We just put a bit of satellite sports on, and
Right.
So a lot of the venues don't have the passion. And the problem is, like with the open mics as well, you might just have a change of different landlord who might just want to change it to a completely different bar or a restaurant, and then there's like one less venue that musicians can go
Right.
to perform. And obviously with the high rents and the rates and everything, that even makes things even harder. And I think also, a lot of the time, I think the buck sometimes falls on us musicians, because there's some musicians who don't support others. They
Yeah,
go
that is
to an
true.
open mic,
Yeah.
they go and do their bit, and then they
Leave.
go.
They take off.
Yeah,
They
that's
leave.
true.
They don't watch the other acts, especially like those that are pre-booked.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, I'm on at 9 o'clock, I'll turn up at 10 to 9, tune up, go on the stage, do my bit, okay, bye. And
Yeah.
Then
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
point? Like
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
connecting with the community. You're not getting, you want to hang around for a bit and then you meet other people.
Just to check out
And
the
you come
other-
early and see what they're like, and then you go,
Yeah.
oh,
It's totally worth your time to
we
do
would
that.
play.
Like,
Yeah.
That would be good to work on something together. Or, I mean, I know people do that, but
It's so
I think you're kinda,
annoying.
if you're serious about your music, you're kind of missing the point.
Well, and yes, and that's really, I think an important thing. If you're in a band and you're playing a multi-band night, you stick around for every band, even if it's like goes to 2 a.m. You stick around because you want them to be with you, and it's the support. And if you want to be a professional, if you're serious about it, that's what you do.
True.
But so many people will just kind of leave, and it's tough if it's on a
Wednesday.
and you have to work.
if you're the
next
last one on,
day. Yeah.
Or your last one on.
and
yeah,
you just it's just you and the bar staff, and
yeah.
But it's,
That's it.
yeah,
Or the first one on, then no one's showed up yet.
yeah.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's pretty slimy if you just play your show and then leave. It's,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
sure
cool.
I mean, fortunately, with some places in London that I go to, which is why I don't go to the any of the open mics in my area. Sorry, because a lot of the time that's what happens. Or you go there, and the other musicians don't talk to you. They have their own little group
Yeah.
or their friends,
They
and
come in
so
with
there's
their
no.
friends. They watch, ooh, look, I'm playing, and then they go away with their friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's the other open mics that I go to. It's like, oh, hi, how are you? What do you play? Oh, what sort? And so there's a bit more of a camaraderie around. There's a lot more friendship, and people stick around for you. If you know what, I'll hang on to the end. With me, I go to 2 open mics a night. So what I tend to do, I turn up at the very beginning of one, stay to the middle, and then I go to the next one and stay to the end. So that way, I'm not just there doing my set and then disappearing, because I find when you hang around for other bands, they more respect you as a musician.
Absolutely.
So you know what,
Right, yeah.
they were there for me. They didn't have to stay. They've already done their set ages ago, but at least there's appreciation there.
And the thing about the music industry, it is a people industry, and I can't stress that enough. And that was the problem, I think, with my early career, is that I wasn't I wasn't a very good networker, because that wasn't my personality. And if you want to be a musician or an engineer, you got to know people and you got to call them. You have to keep those connections going. You have to be your own salesman, and
Makes a huge difference.
It's huge.
There's a series of interviews with G.E. Smith. He was the music director for Saturday Night Live's live band.
Oh yeah.
And he started out playing in Hall & Oates, and his career is all based pretty well on people he met, because he's a nice guy and talented. But if he wasn't out there networking and being supportive of other people's music, and
It wouldn't matter how talented he is.
he talks about that, and he said he would not have half the opportunities. It's always you're at a party, or you've played with someone and you need a guitarist, and they recommend someone else. It's all interconnected, and especially, it may be different in London, but Toronto is still a small town when it comes to music.
Oh, yeah.
business.
Yeah. I mean, all the connections I've made have been through the meetup, through playing in a band, through all those other things, not social media or anything like that.
Social media is
not very social.
kind of good.
How many Facebook friends show up to help you move?
Yeah, exactly. Take you to the airport.
Well, that's what I love about coming here as well. And it's just a shame that my times are here so short, because I would love to be able to sort of do gigs here, but it's just organising with the venues when I'm not based here.
Yeah.
That's what I find is a
You
bit...
should just move here.
Yeah, I've had a few people say, why don't you just move to Canada? And I can imagine like those in the steampunk are like, no.
There's a steampunk scene here, I'm sure. Yeah. Somewhere.
Yes, there is actually,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Okay,
Yes.
can we talk about keeping the score? This one you wrote all by your lonesome?
yes.
Can you tell us about how the song came about?
Okay, it started off with my very, very basic piano play. I mean, you could tell how basic it is by listening to the track. I just do the left hand and the right hand just does
Basic is not bad necessarily.
Yes, it's like, oh my goodness. It was just that tune that I just sort of came up with, and at the time, it's a situation that I was going through with somebody, and at the time I was pretty upset and depressed, and it was like a plea to that person, really, saying, well, you were busy keeping the score, and at the time I'd split up with my ex-boyfriend, long story, and it will take longer than an hour for me to even go there. So, and it's a very autobiographical song between me and this. I've got to be careful, because I know that he's going to be listening to this podcast.
Oh, boy.
I better be careful.
Oh, that fella you were saying really nice things about earlier?
Yeah, that guy.
That wasn't nice.
I've got to be careful. No, it's somebody else with regards to the song, and I don't want about the ex, but I mean the guy that this song. Oh, I better not. I better.
You're digging a hole. You're digging a hole.
Yes, he'll probably.
She's already told us everything, and boy, we have opinions.
Okay, let's just take a listen then,
All
shall
right.
we? Right, keeping the score.
I was your dirty little secret. When he how we were here. We were the best of friends. You were someone I can depend on, and to you, I was your confidant. Things then became blurred, crossed the line, and I got hurt. won't be back then. You were just keeping the score. You don't need me anymore. It was my own stupid fault. Forget the ex and now I'm cold. Secret liaisons and dangerous thoughts. Another life will be suitably matched, but to you I'm just no strings attached. Should have known you were simply keeping the score. You don't need me anymore. I can have your body, but there's no way I'd have your heart. For you say I should have known this from the start. All to you is pleasure for your special leisure, and you say those are the moments you would treasure. Things became chaotic. Our relationship turned toxic. All because you were busy keeping the score. You don't need me anymore. I hope you are happy now. Stefkis was still his Thursday, so yeah.
Very nice.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, thank you.
Keeping the score.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
So,
nice sound. I
backwards.
really like the production on that.
Yeah.
The build on it and everything. How did all that come together? The structure.
Well, originally it was just me and the piano,
Mm-hmm.
and then after that, I had Janine who came into the studio. She did the strings, and obviously she did the harp. There was a couple of guys in the studio, the engineer, obviously, and then there was a few guys there. The drummer, there was a drummer that I had to bring in, which was brought in via the studio. And also there was a guy called Jason who played the guitar as well. So we all kind of built on this song. We knew straight away that we were going to build onto, from very sparse with just me and the piano, and just building up, and then going back down to just me and the piano again. That was the plan for the song.
And that's interesting, the kind of ramp up,
Yeah.
as it were, because this song doesn't really have like a really clearly defined chorus. It's kind of got a verse and a tag on the end.
It's
There
got a
is a
refrain.
tag.
Yeah.
It's
There's
got a bit of a
tag.
refrain, and
It's slightly changed with the frame each time.
Yeah.
yeah,
You know, you were simply keeping the score,
yes,
you know.
yeah. So it's kind of interesting that you decide on that kind of production thing. Unlike the first song, this one's quite rhymey. It's a lot more,
Yes.
more perfect
Yeah, I
rhymes
was
in
gonna- I was
this,
gonna mention that.
and they get more rhymey as the song goes on.
Yeah.
Like the first
Oh my
verse has
goodness.
got some softer rhymes, and then it gets stronger.
Yeah,
as you
blurred,
go.
heard, score it more, false, caught,
Matched,
matched,
attached.
hard start. Yeah.
And it was just like, as the song goes on, it's sort of bringing on the hurt
Yeah.
by that person, like the way,
Yeah.
like it just comes in its own with the bridge
Yeah.
Yeah.
of the song.
It's fairly
So-
visceral, like lyrically, like it's pretty. You're wearing your heart on your sleeves, kind of thing. Like it's really up front
Yeah,
in that way.
exactly.
There was a part in you have something called the bridge, and I guess is that just the sort of second with the
I
drums?
call it
come
a
in?
bridge,
Yeah.
but obviously, don't
Yeah,
know if that's the
B part,
official
yeah.
term
Yeah,
when the drums come in.
but there's a part where you vocally you really push your voice,
Yeah.
and it sounds like it really stands out because it sounds so amazing.
So it gives it that kind of epic quality.
Yes, and I love to hear more of the vocal, that quality, because it pushes and
okay.
it just cuts through, and it's got this kind of sharpness and this grab to it. It was just, and it just stuck out. When the first time I heard it, I went, ooh, that's
Is
all
that the
right.
bridge? Was that the bridge part
That,
with the drums?
that's
or-
that third part. I'm looking at it as a
Is it
third.
all
it's
because that bit?
Whale, win your heart. I should have known this right from the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that. I think it's that part.
Oh,
Right?
oh right.
Yeah, because when you
And you say, I should have known this from the start,
yeah, it's like when you
yeah.
push it, it's got this really great.
Because I was like,
Sharpness
I was
to it,
trying
yeah.
to emphasize that was what I was told.
Yeah.
You should have known this from the start. So that's why I thought I'd bring that into the song, that big major message of the song.
Right, right.
And you have some reverse stuff happening.
Yes.
So what was the thought on that?
I just thought,
Or was it just cool?
I think that when I was a child, and it was like this big thing about when. Oh no, I'm really showing my age now. We had vinyl.
Yeah.
You think,
Yeah.
so like, see if there's a hidden message.
Yeah,
ever
yeah,
Oh,
played
backwards,
yeah.
turn
backwards.
backwards.
And there was ELO. They had an album called Secret Messages. I actually bought the album, and at the beginning, it's all these things going backwards. It's like, what on earth? And it was quite funny because like the last track of the album, which was Rock and Roll is King. You had all this backwards, but it was being played forwards, and what was being played forwards was being played backwards.
Oh, cool.
And I thought, this would be a nice little. And I had to explain to my husband, what exactly are you saying at the beginning? I said, well, that's being played backwards. I said, well, you'll get the answer when you hear the ending of the track.
Right, right.
Because it's the same thing I'm saying, but it's being played forwards, and what I'm being spoken forwards at the beginning of the track is being played backwards at the end. So trying to explain that to my mum, it was just she just but what exactly do you say? It's like
Well, it's interesting because if you don't have vinyl, it's actually fairly hard to play stuff backwards.
computers.
It's a lot easier.
Computers,
Oh.
computers.
Drop it in Audacity, hit reverse.
Well, not everyone has Audacity.
Everyone can have Audacity. If
Or
not,
Logic.
Most people
use
don't even know what
GarageBand.
Audacity is.
Well, use GarageBand.
Or
then.
Logic,
even
Logic.
Or
GarageBand,
Logic.
Do it
yeah.
backwards, yeah.
I'd say most people who aren't musicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most people don't have these
Just
things.
instead of .mp3, you make it .3pm.
Yeah,
and
it
you'll-
works.
and then you'll hear
You'll play
backwards.
Backwards, that's right.
But you also conjure up Satan. So
Oh yes, that was that. It's
yeah,
it's
you
like,
don't want
ooh,
to be
yeah,
messing
yeah.
with that at home.
Don't do
Yeah.
it. Don't do it at home, kiddies.
Save
Not
it
try
for
this at home.
church.
Yeah, I remember all that sort of backward masking stuff, and I remember sort of someone saying, "Do you know how hard it is just to do this like frontwards? We're not going to have time to put stuff backwards."
Yeah.
Backwards and yeah.
Now it always makes me think of Twin Peaks.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
In the, well, maybe because we're sitting in a red room.
That
Oh,
too,
that's
yes,
right.
and I'm blending in with the curtain.
Doom, doom.
That as well. Maybe when I sort of did the subtitles of the actual, because the videos of these two songs on YouTube, and when I did the subtitles, I thought I have to do this one backwards, and it actually sort of you can actually read the message backwards anyway, because you know it's not that hard to work out what I'm saying backwards
Yeah.
because in
That's true.
subtitles.
Well, that's great. So what's coming up next for you?
Right, so I've still got to finish off this album. I'm doing like the Heartfelt Dreamland project. That should be finished soon. There's my album, which was supposed to be finished this year, but it looks like it won't be finished till next year. Had another EP. I don't know how I'm going to squeeze it all in. But I'll have to somehow.
So you're one of those musicians that's hard to book time with, it seems like.
I know, I've had people say, we need to meet up. So I've had like potential collaborations, but it's finding the time to get together and
Well,
make
thank you
some
for flying
music.
over here and being on our show.
That's
Thank you
right.
so much. Thanks for having me.
The timing worked out for that one.
That's right.
Oh, excuse my sniffing. It's like the Toronto cold. You need to sort your weather out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was
Dicey
70
before May
degrees.
24. It's
It was
just,
70 degrees in the UK. And over here was what?
yeah, but you got Brexit, so
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's oh, God. Yeah, I've
let's
got to go
not
back
start
to that.
digging into each other. Okay.
Escapes from that from coming here.
Yes.
Oh right, I'm doing the outro.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we got no choice.
Michael's
somewhere.
new.
Okay, that's all
He's
the time
new.
we have, folks, on Song Talk
We're just
Radio.
mirroring the gap in the intro.
Thanks to Pena Hughes-John. Thank you very much. How
you.
can our listeners hear more from you? What's your website or where can they go?
The website's totally unconnected.
Okay.
It's www.unitedcollaborationproject.com. It's all in one word. And obviously on Facebook, it's the same name. But obviously, I'm sure you have the links to your show, right? They can
Exactly.
actually,
You go to the
click onto
website.
that.
Yes, and we'll put them in the show notes.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you folks at home, please send us your impressions via Twitter at Song Talk Radio, via email at feedback@songtalk.ca, Facebook, YouTube at Song Talk Radio, or stop by the site at songtalk.ca. Subscribe today to the Song Talk Radio podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher.com, Spotify, or Podcast Addict. And don't forget to sign up for our free newsletter at songtalk.ca. You can find links to all these products, books, web services, everything you need, anything we
Recipes.
mention on our resources page at songtalk.ca. Okay, remember that. And if you're in the Toronto area, sorry, Pena, you won't be, on Sunday, May 26th at 1 to 4, please join us at our next Songwriters Meetups at the Transact Club, Brunswick and Bloor. It's free to join on meetup.com and free to attend the meeting. So stop by songtalk.ca for the link to the Song Talk Meetup. All right. Thank you to Micah for managing our social
Thank you,
media so
Micah.
well.
Thank you, Micah.
And Neil, thank you for doing such a great job on the tech board
Oh,
thingy.
my pleasure.
And most of all, we'd like to thank you guys, the listeners. So thank you. You can follow Neil at
NeilModi.com.
Phil.
At the Phil Emery.
And grab a mic, Micah.
Jimmy Micah on Instagram.
Excellent. And you can't
Instagram.
follow me, so don't even try.
You've given up.
Yes.
And stop by the website at songtalk.ca to browse past shows and find out how you can be a guest. Keep on writing.
Good night, everyone.